We've made the decision to not do winter watermelons this year. Previous, we probably would have just said, yeah, we knew the disease pressure was going to be there, but we probably would have said, hey, let's just grow them and hopefully the market will prop us up. But after really crunching those numbers, it was kind of a waste of time.
Welcome back to the Vegalogue podcast, a dialogue about the Australian vegetable industry from AUSVEG. I'm Tom Bicknell. Level Up Hort, the business improvement and benchmarking program funded by Hort Innovation, released its 2024 season benchmarks in June. The project is led by Planfarm and supported by RMCG, and in its second seasonal report boasted a substantial rise in grower involvement, as vegetable and onion growers around Australia realise the benefits of business benchmarking. One of those is Burdekin vegetable and melon grower Chris Lyne from Mountainview Fresh Farms. Chris is one of the participants in the Level Up Hort project, working with Planfarm Horticultural business consultant Maria Fathollahi. I had a chat with Chris and Maria about the value the process has had for the grower's business. Let's get started, Chris, with a bit of an overview of your business. Could you tell me a bit about your operation, what you're growing, size, history, that kind of thing?
Yep. So we're a small, medium horticulture business based here in the far north, sunny Burdekin. We've got 3 shareholders, so we're all sort of equal shareholders of Mountainview Fresh. The other shareholders are based in Brisbane, and I've sort of been left up here to manage the day-to-day operation. We started about 5 years ago, and none of us had actually done any horticulture production before. I've sort of done probably roughly 25 years of in the ag sector. Went to an ag high school and university. But I'd never actually done anything in horticulture. So our business is about 70 hectares of under hort production, and we've also got probably 180 hectares under sugarcane. We mainly grow butternut pumpkins and watermelons, so roughly about 1,000 tonne of watermelons, 2,200 of butternuts, and about 500 of Kent pumpkins.
You've been going for 5 years. What prompted you to pick up the phone and talk to the Level Up Hort project?
So we're actually going not too bad. So we were growing. The growing was okay, but I suppose I'm from a cotton background, and cotton's quite good in benchmarking. So when I moved up here, we were sort of searching for some benchmarking that was at the same level that's the cotton industry had sort of been in. We tried quite a few different benchmarking groups and organisations, but a lot of them, whilst they knew how to crunch numbers, they just didn't actually understand what those numbers meant, and they didn't tie it all together and help us to make some good decisions. So the reason we became involved is we were part of a technology grant, and doing some benchmarking was part of that. And when we were first told about it, I sort of said, we'll do some benchmarking, but I didn't actually think it was going to add much value to our business. But boy, was I wrong. So we sort of started working. I think it was evident after the first half an hour of working with Maria that she actually understood what the numbers meant and some of the decisions that you can make based off those numbers. And so, we've sort of taken it another step, and not only benchmarking, but we sort of work with Maria and her team on some of the higher level decisions, and some of the other processes that they can help out with.
Was it a big change coming from cotton, where there's a great deal of data in a business, to horticulture, where often that's not the case?
Absolutely. Like, so, everything's shared in the cotton industry, and yeah, there's big meetings where, like, so the benchmarking groups all you get together and share the numbers and help, like, yeah, I suppose you grow as an industry, which I just found a little bit different to try and get the numbers in the Hort industry was somewhat different. So yeah, it was quite a big shift.
And Maria, when Chris came to you, were there any particular things that he was looking at exploring with you in particular?
I think similar to what Chris mentioned, I think he wanted clarity. Like many other growers, labor, I would say, was probably at the forefront of his mind. He did keep talking about, understanding how his efficiency stacked up not only against others in the industry that grow, similar crops, but, how that actually impacts his own business. Yeah, I would say from those initial meetings, I think he was hopeful from the get-go, which is always a thing we love about a lot of the growers that we work with.
So, what's the process for starting with a new business?
So yeah, I think we always begin with the numbers, production, what sort of income has come in and out of bank, and obviously the costs. And that sort of just forms the baseline for what we try and build up. The real value then comes from when you actually sit down with the grower and turn those numbers into something more meaningful. I always like to say we don't like to drown in spreadsheets. That's my job, but it's about defining clarity. I always like to focus on things like what are the pressure points in the business and what sort of practical steps can they then take. So sort of shifting the conversation from analysis paralysis to a little bit more action on farm and what can we do at that 1% level to shift the needle?
Have there been any interesting discoveries that you've had through this process so far that have helped to improve the business?
For me, yes, absolutely. So I think before we started with Maria, our business was we were doing a lot of work and we were flat out, and we had this massive to-do list. So the three of us in our business would get together once a year, but it was mainly just filling them in on how the year went more than actually deciding where the business went. So yeah, we'd sort of catch up and have a bit of a discussion about where we've been and threw around a few ideas of where we want to go, but nothing really got decided and you weren't really being held accountable. So when we started working with Maria and her team, we actually thought we needed a COO to start to chip away at that massive list that we had. But we met face to face quarterly and we catch up once a month via Zoom. And we actually started making decisions and then being held accountable for those decisions. So our massive to do list diminished quite quickly, which was very awesome. So I think just being able to make decisions, and then if you've got an idea, Maria always says, just let us run the numbers on it, so you can quickly decide if it's actually worth doing or not. So it's just about having that backup, I think.
Were there any things that you discovered that you had been doing that weren't worth doing when you actually added up the numbers?
Yeah, I suppose we've made the decision to not do winter watermelons this year because of some disease pressure. So I think previous we probably would have just said, yeah, we knew the disease pressure was going to be there, but we probably would have said, hey, let's just grow them and yeah, hopefully the market will prop us up. But yeah, after really crunching those numbers, it was kind of a waste of time. So we decided not to do winter watermelons until we've got some fresh country. So yeah, and I think it's things like that that sort of help you make those decisions and become a bit clearer in what you're doing.
One of the things that I saw for Chris and his team, or that was like one of the biggest eye openers for me, was that profitability in a business isn't always about spending less. I think in Chris's instant, it was a very powerful mindset change and the way that they approached things, not only at their board level, but also operationally on the farm. And like I mentioned before, I keep saying the word clarity, but I think that is what it really is, and making decisions on farm from an investment perspective that will help drive efficiency. And I think they've come miles in their progression from when we first started working with them, and making decisions with data that has backed up those decisions. So that's whether that's machinery replacement schedule, like Chris mentioned, the planting of the watermelons in winter. All those decisions have been made with that powerful mindset change that they've allowed themselves to have in their business now.
And you mentioned making smarter decisions with some good data behind you. This whole process, is this applicable to smaller growers, or is this only valuable to larger businesses with lots of data to analyse?
I'd say it's completely applicable still. So sometimes the impact can even be greater, like even small tweaks can make a big difference. I would definitely not say it's just for large enterprises. So whether you're farming 20 hectares or 200 hectares, I think every grower can benefit from actually understanding what's happening on their own bit of dirt.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think it matters the size of your business. It's just crunching those numbers is just about, as we keep saying, having a bit of clarity and a bit of direction. I've got, other growers that I talk to that, some of them are small and just starting out, but they're all over the shop. Like they're like, oh, I should do a bit of this, and then no, I'll do a bit of that, and I'll do a bit of this, and it got no real direction. But I think if you sat down and really crunched the numbers and said, well, if I chose one production line, but I concentrated on that and increased it by 20%, well, what does that actually look like? And then you can look at that and go, hey, that's actually worth doing. And this other production that I was doing over here, I'm not actually making any money out of that, so why don't I scrap that? So I don't think it really matters the size. Yeah, it's very powerful to really understand what you're doing.
And Maria, has the project identified any trends like this amongst the best performing growers?
Yes, we certainly are starting to see some trends coming through. So what the data has shown us is that those within the top performers, they know their numbers inside out. They're intentional with how they spend their costs on their farm. So, their cost towards labor, and they try and squeeze the most value out of every input. So what's exciting in the data set is that it has sort of shown us that it's not about a size of a farm or the type of crop or even the location that it's grown in. We see profitable, resilient businesses across the board. So whether they're big, small, mechanized, or labor intensive. So I think what is insightful about that is that management strategy and decision making is at the forefront of those top performers. And I guess having that accountability person that they can sort of rely on to help them make them feel comfortable about the decisions moving forward.
One thing this process has taught us is don't be afraid to buy brains. So as managers, we're quite good at doing the do in our business, but there are certain areas that you're going to need help with, and don't be afraid to outsource that and get someone in to help you.
And looking ahead over the next few years, what are you hoping to focus on now, Chris? Is there something that's come out of this process that you're looking to explore or do differently over the next couple of years?
So I think, as I said, we've got 180 hectares under sugarcane. So out of this process, we've sort of identified that, hey, we could probably do better if we put that all under hort production. And I think prior to going through this process, I just would have been like, it would have just made me feel sick to try and get all of that under hort production. But after working with Maria's team and just seeing that once you put the right processes in place, it's actually, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's not, what's the right word? It's not too hard.
It's achievable.
It's definitely achievable. What you were doing 12 months ago is definitely going to change. So, yeah, your job day to day obviously changes, but just having the backup, I think, that's sort of where we're looking at focusing our energy. So, got a big road ahead, but I think with the team we can do it.
Well, I hope it's a smooth road.
Well, I don't know about that. It all has its ups and downs, but I think we're on the right track.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris and Maria.
Thank you,
Tom.
This project is funded by Hort Innovation using the vegetable and onion industry research and development levies and contributions from the Australian Government under project code MT22009. You've been listening to the Vegalogue podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and give the podcast a rating and review. Vegalogue is produced by AUSVEG, the peak industry body for Australian vegetable growers. You can find more news and information from AUSVEG at ausveg.com.au, on our social media channels, or in Australian Grower magazine. See you next time.